Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're going to love it.
Okay, let's go.
Have any of you guys gotten LASIK eye surgery? You know, the vision correction surgery? So I got that in I think 2004 actually. And it's kind of wearing off. It's actually worn off a little bit in one eye. I don't know, man. What do I do? I don't want to start wearing, I don't want to wear readers. Those are goofy. Actually, you know what's interesting about my eyes is one is nearsighted, one is farsighted. So I'm kind of I don't know. It's actually supposed to be good because I don't need reading glasses because I can see pretty well. I can read pretty well, but then the farsightedness in my left eye is a little bit weak. That's why I compensate with wearing glasses. I was thinking about going in and getting a touch-up. I think they've even improved the technology. Anybody get LASIK recently? I'd be curious to see what your results were. Anyway, what's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys had a nice weekend. I mean, all right, I do have to say this. It's pretty ridiculous that it's August already. Oh my God, it feels like this year just started. Okay, so I got some nice responses about the episode. Well, actually, gosh, a couple of guest episodes last week. The Miko pellet episode. That was legit, man. If you have not listened to that episode, this guy came from like the ultimate Zionist Israeli family, and basically now he is one of the most well-spoken advocates for peace more than anything, but he really goes up against, you know, the Israeli stronghold, which again, I give him so much credit for breaking away from that because I know how difficult that is. And then Michelle Ruthenstein, she was the cardiac dietitian. You know, I got a lot of questions about various things with her, and I will say I'm going to talk about a few things before we get into some other stuff today. You know, it was interesting. One of the things I said toward the end of that episode, if you listened, is I forget who the hell said this, but it's like when you're healthy, you have a million problems. But when you're not healthy, you have one problem. And ironically, I woke up yesterday just with a little kind of a sore throat. You might hear it in my voice still. And just not feeling great. And I'm not going to lie, I have not been sick in forever. I mean, besides my bout with COVID-19, July 4th, 2021 to maybe July 15th, 2021. That was a solid 2 weeks that thing took me out. I don't think I've been sick since 2013. I'm not even kidding. Probably a decade. How crazy is that? Wow, that's pretty wild. I guess I've had a little kind of what I had yesterday, and that is just a little bit of a, not feeling 100%, feeling a little sore throatish and all that. And it made me think of that statement. It's like when you're healthy, which I was the day before, I had a million things on my mind, and I had a million, I wouldn't say problems, but definitely like a million things. Let's just say that. And the next day I woke up with that tinge in my throat, and I was like, oh my God, this is all that matters. I just let this go away, and I won't complain about anything else, and I'll focus on the other stuff myself. Isn't that interesting? I find that interesting. Anyway, in regards to Michelle, I hope that was a good episode for you guys, and, nice break from the geopolitics stuff. The one thing I did realize when I listened to it back myself is I didn't let her answer on the sugar. I asked her about sugar and salt, and she kind of went right into the salt. And then I think I forgot to really get her views on sugar. And I actually think sugar is much worse than salt for you. The salt thing is interesting. I posted a reel on Instagram and I had a couple friends say, "Well, you're talking about table salt. That's bad, but like Himalayan salt and Celtic salt are actually good for you." I don't know the answer to that, so I will research that and get back to you. But what I do know is sugar and sugary foods and processed sugar are not good for you. So let me play a few things to kind of round out that discussion that I did not let Michelle finish on.
Sugar. You don't speak very fondly of it. I've read a quote where you say it will destroy your body on so many levels.
So what does sugar do? I am not opposed to carbs. Our body needs carbs. It doesn't need as much as we get, but we need fiber-filled carbs. Fiber is critical in our bodies. What we don't need is beet and sugar cane and honey and agave, all the simple sugars that have a steep glycemic index, meaning you eat it, it's easily digested, rapidly digested, goes immediately to your blood. Your blood sugar will spike. And then what happens is our pancreas will release insulin, which will frantically try to carry it into our muscles to be used. Well, that happens at a finite rate.
So this is that guy, Diary of a CEO. Gosh, I'm blanking on his name, but it's a really big podcast. Anyway, just want to jump in real quick. I like what this lady said about at a finite rate of sugar, because I will tell you, sometimes before I want to go for a run, actually, here's a little hack for you. I mean, I do keep like some cookies and things in the house, chocolate, things like that. I mean, I just have them. Not a ton, but I do have stuff for the most part. And I'll tell you, when I want to have a cookie, for example, I like cookies. I do like cookies. What can I say? When I want to have a cookie, a lot of times I'll have it right before my run or like 15 minutes before I know I'm going to go for a run. And that's because those cookies are so high in sugar that I know they're going to get processed kind of immediately and taken into my bloodstream and forced into my muscles. But I'm going for that run. Actually, I'll probably eat it like 45 minutes before I go for a run because I know I'm basically going to burn off that sugar with the run.
And when you have too much sugar circulating that overcomes the rate that it can be removed, our body stores it in fat. With a high blood glucose, our body goes through a circumstance called glycosylation, which is essentially caramelizing proteins in your body. It's like you have a steak and you leave it on the grill extra long and it gets that caramelized. Well, that state of our proteins in our body is highly inflammatory. Well, we know high inflammation is something that contributes to chronic disease. Excessive blood sugar contributes to insulin insensitivity, meaning our poor pancreas is trying to pop out enough insulin to get rid of the sugar that it pops out so much that we become insensitive to it. There's just an overabundance. So all of those reasons are why I am not opposed to complex carbs and fiber. I am opposed to the highly processed, sugar-filled diet that is produced for us by our current food system and by the choices we make. I don't blame society. I don't blame our food system. I blame them and the choices we make.
All right, that's fair. I guess you can blame us and them. I'm going to do a deep dive on sugar metabolism and all that because, man, it really is confusing. I mean, in a nutshell, obviously take in as little as possible. I think that's the solution, but I would like to personally understand it a lot better, and so I will do that. Maybe I'll try to find a endocrinologist or somebody that's an expert on that to kind of dumb it down and deep shallow dive it down and make it to where we totally understand it. Because even some of the things she was talking about, I mean, I understood everything she said, but I would like to kind of hone that in a little more. All right, let's listen to another clip. All right, this clip kind of somebody used AI. Graphically, it looks amazing. This talks about the ramifications of too much sugar. Now, again, I think this is all true, and all of this is accurate. But the question is, we need to understand how this is caused. Okay, but give this a listen.
Sugar is the world's worst drug. If you consume too much of it, here are the consequences for your body. You'll accelerate the aging of your skin. Sugar can create molecules that can damage the skin's collagen and elastin, causing premature aging. You'll have brain problems. Excessive sugar consumption has been associated with a decline in memory and learning ability. It can also increase the risk of developing diseases such as Alzheimer's. You'll upset your intestinal microbiota. Excessive sugar consumption unbalances the catenal intestinal flora, encouraging the growth of undesirable bacteria and fungi. You'll upset your taste buds. Your taste buds may become insensitive to sugar. Normally, sweet foods may seem bland, so you add too much sugar to them. Eye problems. Excessive sugar consumption can increase the risk of cataracts and affect the health of the retina, compromising your vision in the long term.
All right, again, I think all those are true and accurate, but what I would like to understand is kind of how that all happens. Like, what is it about sugar necessarily that causes all that, and how does that even happen? So I'll research that and get back to you. Let me see if there's any more good sugar clips.
Sugar is a poison. The body was never designed to consume as much sugar as we do. So as we consume so much sugar and empty calories, the sugar attaches itself to the proteins in our body. We end up having our immune system look at this protein glucose glycosylate molecule as a foreign body, and it causes an inflammatory reaction. So sugar causes inflammatory impact in the brain, in the heart, other parts of the body. So one of the very first things, if someone has cancer, you tell them is stop all glucose intake, all sugar intake, right? And sugar isn't just your sugar-coated cereals. It's white bread, it's white rice, it's things like that.
All right, that was pretty useful. I know the white bread, white rice, actually one of the things they talk about, and it's pretty easy to remember when it comes to sugar, because sugar is white. They basically talk about not eating anything white, and obviously white bread, white rice, white pasta, spaghetti, that type stuff. Man, I just don't eat a lot of that stuff anyway, thank God. But anyway, that's kind of maybe a good little tip for you guys. Try to cut out anything white in your food. So like white bread, white rice, spaghetti, pasta, all that stuff is definitely high in sugar. I did like what that guy said about the inflammation and all that. Again, I mean, I think we all know sugar's bad, and I definitely know sugar's bad, and I absolutely cut it out. But I'd like to understand like the mechanics of it, and maybe the science behind it. So anyway, I'll try to either get somebody to come specifically and talk that, or research it myself using my buddy ChatGPT and deliver an episode on that. All right. So anyway, that's a little bit on sugar. I did want to say the couple learnings I had from Michelle that I've really started implementing is, one is taking my blood pressure. I really didn't do that. I would do it like on a monthly basis. And then I always kind of do it if I'm in a CVS or a Walgreens or a Walmart or somewhere that has those machines. I'll always go find those machines and do it, but I'm not doing it on a daily basis, that's for sure. But I will say I have started doing it, and so far so good. The blood pressure has been pretty good. I do think that I might be salt resistant, kind of like what she said if you listen to the episode, because man, I have crazy weight swings depending on what I eat. And by the way, I've been kind of waiting on this mainly because I want to see if I maintained it, and I did, and it has been over a month now. Actually, let me make sure. This is kind of a big announcement. All right, I can confidently say it has been over a month that I have consistently weighed 144 or less, believe it or not. Anywhere from 145 to, man, I had a day where I was 141. All right. So yeah, I think I've kind of done it actually. I've gotten back down to that 144 weight, which I want to be at and maintain. But the swings are pretty crazy. Like, I'll give you an example. On Saturday, I woke up and I was 146. No, I'm sorry. On Sunday, I was 145.8. And then on Monday, I was 142.8. So that's 3 pounds. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, when I thought about it, I was like, okay, what the hell did I do Saturday night? I did have a lot of salty foods on Saturday and Saturday night. And by the way, I had like some nachos like late at night or something. Don't ask. And so that probably was water retention. So think about that. That's like 3 pounds of water retention. I mean, definitely could be the case. So I took my blood pressure the way she said, and it was high. It was like 140/95 on Sunday, corresponding with the 145.8. And then on Monday, which was 142.8, it was like 127/80. So anyway, interesting. I'm gonna keep taking my blood pressure on a daily basis, and then also I am going to see if I can maintain this weight. All right, I've been waiting to kind of share that with you guys, so I guess that's kind of nice to do that together with the blood pressure thing. Now, I will say I do have one of the cuffs that go around my wrist. Now, Michelle did not really like those. She said she likes the cuff that goes around your bicep because it levels you with the heart. But the one I have that kind of looks like a big fat watch that goes around your wrist, basically I read the instructions and you pretty much hold it at your heart, kind of like you're saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Maybe I'll start doing that. I'll start saying the Pledge of Allegiance during my blood pressure taking. Actually, they say you're supposed to stay quiet. So anyway, all right, blood pressure. That is definitely something I'm going to get on the radar more. And then the second thing she talked about was measuring the circumference of your waist, basically from around your belly button. So anyway, if anybody does that, let me know. Let me know what your results are. I'll let you know what mine were. Actually, I'll measure mine tomorrow. And I haven't done that yet, but I'll measure mine tomorrow and report back. So, all right. We're at about 16 minutes. Enough health talk. Let's get into some stuff. I did want to play this clip from Julian Assange because, man, it's just so good. It's so good. And I want this clip to be searchable on the site. I know I've played it before, but I still have like 150 episodes to catalog. So the ones like today's episode, these get cataloged kind of immediately. So I do want this to be handy. But listen to Julian Assange as he talks about Afghanistan and basically the concept of forever wars. But more importantly, I'm starting to realize, well, not starting, I've totally realized what's going on in Gaza and Ukraine. These are forever wars. Like, these are just going to keep going. I really don't see an end in sight to these things.
Because the goal is not to completely subjugate Afghanistan. The goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal, i.e. the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
All right, this is 2 clips. So seriously, he nails it so well. And that was back in 2011. That was before he got arrested. But the goal is, it's not to bring democracy and freedom to these countries, in that case being Afghanistan. It's to have these forever wars and to be able to just move money around. All right, listen to part 2 of it, because this is where I think right now it's applicable. And it's really the media that's causing you to kind of not realize the truth.
Nearly every war that has started in the past 50 years has been a result of media lies. The media could have stopped it if they had searched deep enough. If they hadn't reprinted government propaganda, they could have stopped it. But what does that mean? Well, that means basically populations don't like wars. And populations have to be fooled into wars. Populations don't willingly and with open eyes go into a war. So if we have a good media environment, then we'll also have a peaceful environment.
He's so right about that. If we have a good media environment, we also have a peaceful environment. And populations don't like war. Some people do. There's some knuckleheads out there. But overall, I think, people don't like war. And so as I'm looking at the Gaza and the Ukraine stuff, if it wasn't for social media, holy mackerel, this would be a whole different ballgame. It would be back like Afghanistan and Iraq and all of that stuff. It's really social media that has enabled a different kind of news and a different kind of media to really be present. So let me read this. This will be the last thing for today. Let me read this because this was kind of the thing that I wrote as a compliment to what I posted about or the interviews from Julian. And I'm starting to brand this stuff a little bit more, even on Instagram and Facebook. So it says a DSD into ... endless war. Years ago, Julian Assange warned us the goal in Afghanistan was never to win, never to subjugate, never to stabilize. The real objective, to keep the war going forever, to funnel trillions into defense contractors, private military companies, and black budgets, to turn the Middle East into a permanent chessboard of chaos. That's exactly what they've done. The goal is an endless war, not a successful war, Assange said. 20 years, trillions spent, countless lives lost, and we left Afghanistan by handing it right back to the Taliban. If you still think these wars are about freedom or democracy, you're missing the playbook. All right, that is, we're going from sugar to forever wars and the playbook. But that is the playbook, man. It really is. All right, we'll keep this one easy. Hey, Wednesday, I've got a good interview already queued up with a guy named Clayton Kituri. And believe it or not, him and a couple guys have already founded a new political party. It's called the American Congress Party. So we talk about that. And, this guy's a pretty sharp guy. I kind of discovered him on Instagram. We talk about Jeffrey Epstein. I'm going to give you my take on the Ghislaine Maxwell, which, gosh, I might have already done that. But anyway, it's a good interview for Wednesday. I'm going to try to be back Thursday and Friday, maybe Thursday myself, and then Friday, another guest interview. I really do have just a backlog of great guest interviews. So I need to start delivering these to you guys. All right, that's about it, everybody. Hey, I am really open to continual feedback on what you guys want to hear more about. We've definitely, there's just not that much new geopolitical stuff to talk about. And it's like, how many times can we talk about like the unfortunate stuff going on in Gaza and then even Ukraine for that matter. But I'm wondering, do you guys want more like just kind of chronicling the current events? Do you want me to dig into more of the Trump government administration stuff? What do you guys want? So anyway, let me know any feedback. Send it to me however makes the most sense for you, and I will try to accommodate. All right, everybody, call a spade, call your parents.
That was a great way to end it.
This episode was brought to you by Zippix nicotine toothpicks. Zip more, smoke less. Totally satisfying, discreet, and delicious. Zippix nicotine-infused toothpicks are available in 6 great flavors, each containing at least 2 milligrams of nicotine to curb those cravings. Zippix is FDA registered and proudly made in the USA. Use discount code DSD for 10% off your order at zippixtoothpicks.com. Zip more, smoke less, save 10%.